Cleveland Cavaliers Greg Swartz at Cavs Greg Burr Cleveland Cavaliers lead writer April 27, 2018 Tony DeJack, Associated Press. In what's been arguably the toughest first-round series of LeBron James' career, his Cleveland Cavaliers are just one win away from advancing past the Indiana Pacers into the Eastern Conference semifinals. Almost nothing in this series has followed expectations. The Cavaliers, an offensive juggernaut throughout the regular, have now been the lowest-scoring team in the entire playoffs, 94.4 points per game. Instead, Cleveland's defense, ranked 29th overall in the regular, has been the unit carrying the team. We have entered the upside down. If this series has taught us anything, Game 6 will not come easy for the Cavs. Indiana has used a balanced scoring effort and some timely shots to constantly cut down leads and keep Cleveland from gathering any sort of sustainable momentum. With Kevin Love and role players going near for quarters and even games at a time, it's been on James' shoulders to make sure he doesn't fall in the opening round for the first time in his career. Traveling back to Indianapolis, here's how the Cavaliers can finally advance and end the Pacers. Darren Cummings, Associated Press. In Game 1 of the series, Hill was blindsided by a hard screen from Pacers big Trevor Booker, a seemingly simple play that's had some costly reverberations. Hill has battled through a sore back ever since, even missing Games 4 and 5. His availability for Game 6 is unknown. When healthy, Hill is arguably the Cavaliers' most important player in this series outside of LeBron James. With Kevin Love struggling, the Cavs need Hill to be a shot creator and scorer to lessen the burden on James. Hill had the highest plus-minus of any Cavalier, this plus 5.2. His contributions don't always fill up the stat sheet, and he's not a big-time scorer or assist guy, but Hill's veteran presence running the point is invaluable to this team. Since head coach Tyronn Lue inserted Junior Smith and Kyle Korver into his starting lineup for Game 2, the difference with Hill running the team and sitting has been startling. In 16 minutes with Hill, James, Love, Korver and Smith, the Cavs are posting a net rating of plus 30.1. When just substituting Jose Calderon in for Hill, this unit plummets to minus 5.1 in 35 total minutes, per NBA.com. The Cavs don't necessarily need Hill to win, but his presence would be a huge lift on a team desperate for ball handling and shot creation. Tony DeJack, Associated Press. With Hill missing games, Love struggling and no other real options to initiate offense, the Cavs have relied on James and an abundance of outside shooting instead. While James has been brilliant, it's been the Cavs' inability to knock down outside shots that has handicapped them offensively in this series. Cleveland is firing up 32.03 pointers a game, fourth most of all playoff teams. Unfortunately, the team is connecting on just 31.9% on these looks, next to last overall. Led by Victor Oladipo, Indiana has strong wing defenders who can close on shooters in a hurry. This kind of tight defense has clearly rattled the Cavaliers since Game 1 to the point where even open shots are being rushed. It's no surprise the Cavs are attempting fewer three-pointers in wins 31.3 than losses 33.0 in this series. Only Kyle Korver is making more than 40% of his threes, 41.4%, while Cleveland has 5 players shooting under 30% from deep: Smith, James, Jeff Green, Rodney Hood, Jordan Clarkson. While some of this shooting is bound to improve, Cleveland can't expect immediate success after 5 straight brutal shooting games. It will take more offensive creativity and a heavy dose of paint penetration by James and Hoppy Hill to seek out more quality looks and not rely so heavily on the three ball. Gregory Seamus, Getty Images. This was supposed to be Love's time to shine. With no Kyrie Irving, Isaiah Thomas, or Dwayne Wade to serve as James' primarily running mate, this was Love's chance to re-establish himself as a premier offensive threat while posting numbers similar to his Minnesota days. Instead, the 29-year-old All-Star is averaging just 11.8 points on 32.8% shooting in the series. He's been manhandled by Pacers power forward Thaddeus Young, unable to get to his post-up spot to find enough breathing room to shoot on the perimeter. When matched up with Young, Love has made just 7 of his 32 shot attempts, 21.9%, per NBA.com. It's not just his shooting that's suffered, either. Love's tunnel vision on his post-ups has led to various strips and takeaways by Indiana players who automatically double, knowing well he's not looking to pass. His 2.6 turnovers per game are second on the team, and account for a whopping 15.8% of his total possessions. For someone who rarely dribbles or handles the ball in general, that's a problem. Defensively, the Pacers have tried to regularly attack the Love-Calderon duo in pick-and-rolls, taking advantage of Love's lack of foot speed and inability to challenge block shots at the rim. Defensive issues aside and typically accepted, Love needs to finally have a breakout game offensively. Tony DeJack, Associated Press. The Cavs' biggest challenge defensively coming into the series was to slow down the Victor Oladipo's incredible. Game 1 was a complete failure for Cleveland, as Oladipo's 32 points on 11 of 19 shooting 57.9% and 6 of 9 from deep 66.7% led the Pacers to a 98-80 win. After Lou moved Jeff Green and Rodney Hood out of his starting rotation in favor of Junior Smith and Kyle Korver, the results have been quite different. The Cavs have consistently thrown multiple defenders at Oladipo, forcing him to give up the ball or settle for contested shots. Smith has been ahead of the Snake here and performed surprisingly well following a regular filled with poor defensive play. Since Game 1, Oladipo is averaging just 17.3 points on 30.9% shooting from the field and 22.6% from three. In the past 3 games, he has nearly as many turnovers, 3.3 as field goals, 4.0 per game. With Smith as the primary defender, Oladipo is shooting just 28.6% on 35 total attempts, per NBA.com. It's been a team effort to slow the all-star shooting guard, as James, Hood, George Hill, Korver and Jordan Clarkson have collectively held Oladipo to 38.7% shooting as well. If Cleveland can keep him away from a performance like he had in Game 1, it should be in good shape. Tony DeJack, Associated Press. This is bound to happen, right? I mean, in James' worst game this series he scored 24 points and triple-doubled with 10 rebounds and 12 assists. Twice HES scored 44 points or more, both times in wins. Unless Kevin Love suddenly comes to life, anything fewer than 30 from James probably isn't going to get the job done. That's unfair to him, but it's where this team stands as long as Tyronn Lue refuses to provide a consistent offensive role for either Rodney Hood or Jordan Clarkson. James is averaging 34.8 points, 11.4 rebounds and 8.0 assists per game this series. The next closest Cavs are Love's 11.8 points, 10.8 rebounds and Jeff Green's 1.8 assists. That's a staggering gap in both points and assists. When LeBron's playing like that, and HES playing that aggressive, it just gives the rest of us confidence, Kyle Korver said, via Cleveland.com's Joe Vardon. HE's the best player in the world, HES on our team, HES going to give us a chance every single night. That's all Cleveland has at this point, a chance. In past years where this team steamrolled through the Eastern Conference, James could afford to have a 15 or 20 point night and the Cavs would crumble into the ground. Not anymore. James continues to carry the Cavaliers and will once again need a big game to send the Pacers home for good. Greg Swartz covers the Cleveland Cavaliers for Bleacher Report. Stats provided by NBA.com and Basketball Reference unless otherwise noted.